Hey everyone, it's Jade from Shut Up and Rock On, and I am sitting here for the second time. The first time I interviewed him was at M3 with Robert Mason of Warrant. Robert, how are you doing?
I'm great, Jade. How are you?
Good, hot, warm,
Muddy,
all of the above. So we're here with Robert today at Loud-n-Lima outside in catering. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about who he is, because in the last interview I was with Jerry Dixon and you, and we talked mostly about Warrant stuff, but you have done other things other than Warrant, Cry of Love, etc., etc. So let's talk first influences. Who influenced you?
Boy, I don't know. My dad's record collection, so everything from the High-Lows and the Four Freshmen to all the 50s doo-wop stuff. My dad sang for a little while when he was much younger. So I was born in New York City, as you know that. Born in the Bronx. I was the Anglo kid in an Italian neighborhood in the Bronx. Yeah, so you get it.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, everything from Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Sinatra, big band stuff, swing stuff, all the way. All the crooner guys, you know. I think I had an early experience watching Tom Jones and Elvis and those guys, like you watching and go, holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, because Tom Jones for me always had that like growly kind of thing going on too, and then I got turned on to Otis Redding and Sam Cooke, and then Steve Marriott and all like the British and British blues stuff. British guys trying to be American blues guys, trying to, it's like filtered through their life. So a lot of Free and Humble Pie and The Who and Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple and Queen, and a lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
Just listed everything.
Oh yeah, everything. I mean, I wear my influences on my sleeve. Aerosmith and Thin Lizzy and every other damn thing.
So when do you start singing and doing the whole band thing?
Right out of the womb. I was like the early kid who was, my first memories are singing Three-Part Army with my mom and dad on like long car drives to the radio or radio off and just, that exactly. Didn't do any formal training till I was in my very late teens, early 20s, because when I honestly decided to sing. I was kind of yanked out of college because I didn't want to go to any further education, law school, anything like that. I was an English guy and writer, and
I know you went to my grammar, damn
high school. I'm a grammar freak. I'm sorry. I do that out of love. I don't do that out of being some sort of dictator or anything. But I ended up just wanting to be in a band, and still around New York and the suburbs and all around, kicked around in a couple of cover bands, a couple of original bands, and had a couple of close calls, had a record deal at what they used to call a development deal back in the day, where the record company gives you money and a producer and people in rehearsal time and says, sure, we'll fund this because we see some merit in it. And we were demoing a ton of stuff. Worked with a guy named David Prater at the same time that Firehouse was doing their first record. So we would see them. I met those guys in the very late 80s, passing them at the producer's house. The producer was doing double sessions, and they'd be leaving and we'd be walking in, or vice versa. So
we're playing together today.
And and look at that, they're on the bill. So life is funny. That band, as it happens sometimes, that was my kind of first big barbecue, and the president of A&R is who had signed us. He moved to a different label, and we got shelved by the new guy who came in. So that was my, my foray into the record business. Here you go, kid. We're gonna do. Oh no, we're not gonna do this. No. Hold on. Sit back in your place and just wonder what the heck is gonna happen for a month or two. Then heard about Lynch Mob, flew out, auditioned, got that gig, and I ended up in that Arizona. So that was how that happened, pretty much. I grew up in that New York City environment, where you'd go to jams in the city and it'd be just like a who's who of session players and guys that are off tour or whoever, and all get together and play, and that's the environment in which I kind of cut my teeth mostly. But I didn't want to be a jingle or session guy.
You wanted to be a full-time.
I just wanted to go, and I was a rock kid, like I want to scream and go tour.
Yeah.
Ended up in Lynch Mob, and that, did what it did. We all still talk. We all still threaten to work together someday in some capacity, but we don't know. And then did a bunch of sessions, got to know Keith Olsen, our producer, produced the first Lynch Bomb record that I did. So Keith and I got to be really tight, and I became his background vocal and song doctor kind of guy. He'd fly me out. I was still living in Arizona at the time. I moved back to New York for a year and lived through like one awful winter and a whole year, and then I got...
I don't want to be here anymore.
And I had been in Phoenix and Cave Creek in Arizona and just went, man, it's so beautiful, I miss it. So I moved back out there and was writing and working on a band, and Sharon Osbourne called my house and said,
That doesn't happen every day.
I guess. It doesn't happen too often. But she explained how Oz was going out on a tour. This was 95.
Yep.
And Osmosis tour, and they wanted to use a real live background singer, not tracks. And Oz and I had worked with some of the same people. Zach and I knew each other from back home on the East Coast, and she called my place and said, what is it going to take to get you out? We're going to be out for a year. Welcome to our tour. Come meet us in Copenhagen in 2 weeks. So I did that for about a year. We went all around the planet.
How was it?
I mean, come on.
I know.
Jade, that's the first dumb question you've ever asked me.
Oh,
you ask the best questions, and it's so easy to talk to you.
Well, yeah,
and then
but
you
like,
hit me with that
how was
softball. No, it was really cool.
It's fun. It was crazy.
It's
et cetera.
exactly what you'd expect it to be, and everything else. This is, like I said, Osmosis record, so 95, 96.
Was Dean Castronovo on that record?
It was at the very end of, Dean was on that record. Dean and Zach played on that record, but it was at the very end of Dean playing in the band.
Okay.
They got Randy Castillo back, and Randy and I were friends from years before. Mike Inez came in and filled in. When I joined the band, Geezer was playing bass, so I felt honored to be with, like, on stage with half of Black Sabbath.
I know, right?
Like every night, it was the coolest. So Geese wanted to split. We had a rotating door on bass players for a little while there. My good friend Mikey came in. We
You should have just learned how to play bass.
borrowed him back. I was busy doing background vocals, and I could do it off stage. I was like the Wizard of Oz. I was
know,
quite
right?
literally
The guy
like,
behind the curtain.
please ignore the man behind the curtain, which was honestly cool. I got treated really well. My last show, Japan, UK, and Europe, like everywhere, all over the States, but we went everywhere. Got to play Budokan twice. I mean, come on, like you don't get to do that
still
if
get
you're
to do
me.
that, right?
You go like, okay. So my last show was Donington, 96, what they call Download now. And that was with us and Kiss. And then I flew home because a month prior, almost 2 months prior, I got a call from Josh Sarabin and Donnie Einer and Audley Free, the guitar player in Cry of Love. And they said, well, we really want to make a record. I had come out there before Ozzy and hung out with them, and they were just not ready. And they were not ready to like solidify their thing and go and do a second record. They were at that point, and they said, please come out. You're the guy, it's your gig if you want it. And I went to Sharon and Oz and I said, I really want to be a frontman again. And these guys are really cool, and I really love what they're doing. I want to make this record. Who knows what it's going to do commercially, but I want to make it for me, kind of. And I thanked them very kindly, gave them a couple of months' notice. Sharon and Ozzy were very graciously, willing to let me skip if I got through X amount of dates.
Okay.
And for Ozzy, it was all about Donington. So that was my last show, and, tearful goodbye.
I was going to say, it must be hard leaving
It
Ozzy.
was. I could talk about that for months. I should write a book.
Do it just about the time and
Just all that stuff, yeah.
Now tell me about Cry of Love and that good stuff.
It was a fun band. Southern gentlemen, amazing musicians. Still to this day, they all, still playing. They're all wonderful guys. I keep up with them. It was that thing where it was just a little bit of a weird timing. Our record came out in 97. And it fit in that weird area that was not, it was not grunge. It was not what everybody perceived to be some label. They tried to Southern rock it. They tried to whatever it, I don't know. But for me, it was a cross between like the Stones' Exile on Main Street and then perhaps a little almost like Who's Next or Who Are You with something else. And I don't really know, but I sang on it, so I'm fiercely proud of it. And Audley had written some amazing songs while they were waiting. Actually, the whole year I was out on the Ozzy tour. And I'd even been through, the gamut with a couple of other singers that just didn't work out. So we made a record in Raleigh, super low key. Went out on tour opening for the Allman Brothers and Cheap Trick and everybody else. I mean, it was super fun. But that band just was at a weird time, so we put it to rest ourselves mutually with the record company before it got to the point where we, everybody said, well, before you get dropped by the label because you beat the horse too long, we kind of ducked out while the ducking was good.
You didn't want to go out and be like not in your hands.
Well, I'm not, disparaging any other route at all. It was just the right thing for us to do at the time. And it's kind of served us pretty well. That one record I found on more tour buses or in other musicians' hands than anybody else, and it became like this cultish kind of thing where they all appreciate it. And like I said, I'm fiercely proud of it, and I'm happy about it. And did a bunch of sessions, wrote for other people, a bunch of other things, and had another few opportunities where I was kind of behind the scenes. And then at Rocklahoma, I walk in and, the Warrant guys are there, and that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So I've told that story a bunch of times, so yeah.
Now tell me, what compels you to name a band Big Cock? Tell me about that, because I hate saying that name.
A, wasn't my name. B, I knew my mom would hate it. And C, all the other cool names were taken. And honestly, if you put those songs together and you would have called it some other thing where you're trying too hard to figure out a cool name. And that was all Dave. That was Dave Henserling who just came up with that. It was like, he called me. He's like, hey, man, I got a bunch of songs. I want you to help me finish them. We're going to make a record. And oh, by the way, the name of the band's Big Cock. I'm like, you had me at ring, 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 dude. I don't care what the name of the band is. It's going to be fun. So we made 3 of those records. I can't believe we did that, like one a year.
Yeah.
And I know where you're leading. We were invited. We were asked to play at Rocklahoma.
Okay, yep.
I think it was after, the second record?
I don't even know what year that was.
Maybe second or third, I don't know. But we did it 2 years in a row.
Okay.
That's when I ran into the Warrant guys, and they needed a singer, and
Because you knew the Warrant guys.
Well, Lynch Mob had supported Warrant in arenas in 92, 93, so we were all tight. And Lane and I were really good friends. We used to hang, we were like inseparable on that tour.
You guys kind of look like brothers.
Much to the band's dismay, too. Like, oh my God, my band would bail, and I would like ride in the back lounge of the Warrant bus to the next city on the tour, and Jani and I would get after.
Practically a member of Warrant.
We would get after. Yeah, I was Jani and I's. We were each other's like drinking bitches.
Yeah.
We had fun though.
Good, as you should. So, tell me about Big Cock though. Like, he just calls you up and you're like, okay. You seem like the kind of guy who's like, oh, you want to do a band? I'll do a band. You want me to sing? I'll sing.
No. I mean, I'm a little more selective. If you've heard those records, Dave, I thankfully am in a position, and I'm really, really grateful to be able to be asked to do things like that every once in a while.
Because you're so likable, Rob.
No, come on. Oh, go on. Tell me more about me. I have a certain level of not comfortable with that. I don't talk about. You'll never hear me refer to myself in the third person. That's a bunch of bullshit to me. It's just for me. It's not me. It's not my thing. But I'm hugely grateful. Like I said, to be asked to do that. Dave and I live in the same city. We got a couple of other great guys to play on it, and it just all fell together and was easy. And I don't know if you've heard some of those lyrics, but they're fun.
Yeah, they are.
It's musically serious and extremely tongue-in-cheek, not taking ourselves too seriously, but pretending to act like absolutely the most overtly sexual or incredibly pompous lyrical content you could muster.
Panther was here last night,
And if you like that, then you get it.
God,
It's just that our band, we could put it like halfway between, I don't know, like 77 to 79. Before the LA rock that everybody thinks of. That's where I put that period-wise, musically. So it just was what it was, and we had a blast with it, pushing the envelope a little bit here and there, and just seeing who gets the joke.
Yeah, right.
Not intending on like radio airplay or any of that really. Thankfully, social media and YouTube came along, and it was fun to do. We did that 05, 06, 07, 3 years, 3 records in a row. So it was like it was all at the beginning of that, beginning of. We started before the damn iPhone, for the love of God,
Now tell me about Warrant, because the new album just came out not too long ago, like May, was it? I think
May 12th.
May 12th.
Louder, harder, faster.
Love it.
Thank you.
Good job. So, well, I'm not gonna be like it was the worst record.
Pat on the back.
I hate it.
Right. As soon as I walk away, Jade will talk a bunch of smack into the microphone.
No, I really like it. I do, and I feel like you bring something, I don't know, new, different to Warrant, like a harder rocker sound, if that makes sense.
It's hard.
You just
for
bring
me
something to the band.
I have no objectivity, so it's hard for me to. Do you know what I mean? I'm too close to it. So.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be able to be anybody but myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try too hard to be anything. Although, like I said earlier, I wear my influences on my sleeve. So I love the writing and recording process. We don't get to do it too often these days. Like I said, I do it for other people. I make several trips out to Nashville and kind of ingratiate myself into that pool to do, expand my web of influence and do whatever, leave a little scar on the music industry if I can, and damage people as much as possible. So that kind of rubbed off on me, and we had a batch of songs. I still have a whole bunch of stuff that's just not Warrant stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But we all got together.
What are you going to do with that?
I don't know. Never know. This
Robert Mason's solo
universe is unfolding on schedule. I don't know. It's kooky. But it was time.
Yeah.
It was time to put a record out. Dixon and I got together. Frontiers was very nice to pick up their option, as the saying goes.
I love Frontiers.
And they treat us well. And we got to do a record with Jeff Pilson. We did do a record with Keith.
Yes.
Because I really wanted to turn the band on to Keith for the Rockaholic record because of the great experiences that we've had in the past. And, bless Keith Olsen for what he's able to bring to the party, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But it was time to do something maybe a little more organic or vintagey or whatever.
It is, because it sounds like kind of classic Warrant, but a little rock.
I initially,
modern.
well, okay, cool.
It's good.
You're wise beyond your years. I wanted to place it, not literally, but in my own head and whatever my twisted mind thinks, with some of the better parts of Dirty Rotten and Cherry Pie.
Yeah.
Just stylistically, and that was my original thought, but you don't know how all the songs are going to turn out. Mm-hmm. Then we get Jeff involved, Jeff Pilson producing, so Jeff's got killer vintage gear, it turns into what it turns into, and we're happy with it. Mm-hmm. People are embracing the songs, we'll see.
I think people really like it. I saw most of the reviews I saw for it were all really positive.
I'm really pleased so far, so thankful.
How long were you working on it for? How long was that in production?
Through the holidays of last year into this year, so Thanksgiving through a little after New Year's, we kind of just taking off for holidays, separating, doing family stuff, and chilling out after our spring, summer, autumn schedule that we do year-round, fly dates. So I would zip out to Jeff's. I was staying with some friends in Manhattan Beach at their deserted beach house, so I had it kind of rough.
Yeah, I know.
Waking up on the beach every morning and going and running and walking out and watching seagulls and breakers.
Hard day at the office.
Yeah, I had to walk, or jog all the way to Starbucks. Sometimes it took like several minutes. It was.
Couldn't get an Uber, had to drive yourself.
It's a grind. It's a grind, but you do it because you love it.
Yeah.
You suffer for your art. And then the real suffering is LA traffic up to Jeff's house.
Yeah.
Which I live in Arizona now, so I'm just not used to it. But did that every day. I was there pretty much every day with Jeff, and everybody plays on these songs. So no matter who puts their, puts the pen to paper or whatever you want to call it, the thumbs to iPhone these days. That's how I write everything. Yeah. iPads and whatevers. Everybody puts their stamp on it and plays what they play and sings what they sing, and it becomes a Warrant record. And this misfit little batch of songs became a Warrant record. So I don't know what else you want to know.
And that's that. So what are you up to now? You're playing shows. Got anything planned?
I'm all done growing, Jade. I'm about 5'9" or so.
Not bad.
Being generous, maybe. The right pair of shoes, a little taller, and we're just doing what we always do. Get out, fly, play a few shows, fly home. So we get a couple of days in our own bed, and beds. I shouldn't say that we don't all sleep in the same bed, kids.
Yes.
We're all grown-ass men.
The Warrant party house.
Exactly. Wow, that would be... I don't even want to see what that would look like in a car.
I do.
But it would have to be like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Maybe a Saturday night cartoon. It wouldn't be a Saturday morning cartoon.
After hours.
Exactly. We're not on buses anymore. We go and we've got ground crew that brings gear around for us, and we do our thing, and I get a lot of air miles.
frequent traveler miles.
Sometimes upgrades.
First class.
Booze is free there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, but the booze is free there.
I haven't heard.
I can't be held responsible if the liquor's free. Come on.
Oh, it's out of your hands.
Show day, schmo day. I'm 37,000 feet with tequila. This is great.
Don't you get like drunker if you're like higher? in the
I'm
air?
not. Wait, I mean, maybe some.
It's like the altitude or something?
I've heard.
That's what I thought you would be able to.
Let's find
testify.
out.
I know. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me right now.
In
That's all
catering,
I've got for you right now.
We've got some break in the clouds. We've got some
Yeah,
blue
the sun was
skies.
just out for a minute. And
People
I
in
don't
Ohio
like
are
it.
taking pictures because they haven't seen what blue sky looks like in a while.
Not a fan.
I got fingers crossed. I'm thinking, what do you mean? Badass, louder, harder, faster rock show.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if you've heard, but I'm not just here for your interview and a haircut. We're going to play a big show tonight. We got Bret Michaels later on. The
You guys, Bret
BMB.
Michaels. Yeah, BMB. I haven't seen him in a while. He wasn't at Toledo, right? Rock the Arena. He wasn't there, right?
Was that? No, the year before.
Uh,
That was Cheap Trick that closed that night.
oh yeah.
My old bros from the Cry of Love days. We had some. That was funny because we're sitting. Joey and I are sitting around, and he hasn't met him. And Joey Allen, huge Cheap Trick fan.
Okay.
Just for the record. So we're standing outside, and I see Rick's kid Dax.
Yeah.
And Dax comes up to me, and we'd never met. Like we toured with in Cry of Love, if you remember from earlier in the interview. We toured with the Cheap Trick guys for a few months, so we've kind of, I see them every once in a while. Hey, what's up? And we had great times back then. So I see Dax, and Dax comes running up to me. Joey's just hoping he can hitch a ride to my wagon and meet the Cheap Trick guys.
Coattails.
Dude, and Dax comes up, and he's a huge Cry of Love fan. So he's like, oh, man. And he's asking me Cry of Love questions.
That's great.
And I said, well, that's all well and good, but aren't you guys ready to go on in a few minutes? Oh, yeah, whatever.
Not a big deal.
Oh, we're fine. I was, well, go and just tell your pops I said, hey. He's like, no, you're coming in.
Oh boy.
And Joey's go, dude. Like, tugging on my sleeve. Dude, we're going in. So we go. I was like the only time I've ever seen Joey Allen like that in my life.
I love it.
So we walk in, and, selfies ensue, and Instagram and every other silly thing. We had a lot of fun. Those guys are honestly, I at Budokan with Ozzy. Ozzy didn't do sound check the first night we were at Budokan. I got up on stage, center stage at Budokan, sound check, an empty crowd, and did the whole Robin Zander.
Yeah.
This is a song from our new album. The whole "I Want You to Want Me" thing. I did all that to echo with nothing coming
with
back.
no one else.
With just Randy Castillo looking at me, going, "Dude, what are you doing?"
You know what I'm doing.
And I told Robin that story, a year later when we were out 2 years later with Cry of Love. So
I love it.
yeah,
Nice.
my brothers.
Your brothers. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Again.